Hi guys, this is Dark Reaper. I am on my DK Dark Elf Vampire Tank. I am here today to bring you my build that my hubby and I have come up with from several different ones that we have watched. And I'm hoping y'all enjoy this. If you do, just give me a thumbs up, like. There's more to come on more tanks because I love to tank more than I do DPS. But anyways, here we go. I'm going to go over the sets first, and then I'm going to go over the skills on each one, and then I'm going to go over my champion points, and then the food and everything else that I have. This is my first video. I'm a little nervous, so y'all just bear with me. If I go haywire and go from here to there, I'm sorry. I get sidetracked very easily when it comes to the game, because this is my one and only game that I ever play, and I'm very interested in it, and it's fun to do. Okay, the sets is a main tank. You want to use Alkosh and Eben. Alkosh brings everything to the table, especially for your DPS. Anytime you activate the synergies, it deals physical damage and reduces the physical and spell resistance of the enemy. I use a dagger and a sword, or dagger and a board. Sorry guys. You can use a sword, axe, any which one, as long as it is a one-handed weapon. Alkosh comes from Maul. Eben comes from Crypt of Hearts. And I also use Citadel's Crest when I want to be like a selfish tank, which is like you want to use those in situations like hard mode, things like that. And I also use Plague Doctor. Plague Doctor is an all health set. If you're running with 3 DPS and you're doing hard modes, which is if you're into that kind of in-game thing, it is a must to do. I've not got some of these golded out yet because, as you could tell, gold mats are really expensive right now. And everybody's sitting on them coming up for the update and elsewhere. Yay! Can't wait. I'm very excited. So, back to the sets. Sorry, got off subject. You want to use Alkosh and Eben if you're the main tank. It is a must. Mostly everyone wants you to use, especially in trials, Eben and Alkosh. Those are my main sets that I do run, as long as I'm running the main tank in like Maul and the other ones like that. I do use sword and board on my front side, and I use the ice staff on the back side. Yes, I do have the lightning staff, and you're probably thinking, well, what the crap do you use the lightning staffs for? Okay, if you are running 3 DPS in a tank, which is it will be you do not have the healer to run the lightning staff to set the enemies off balance. So if you do run in those situations, you want to use your lightning staff if your DPS is not using a lightning staff. Some of the sorts do, and which is totally awesome. Then you want to use your ice staff because it reduces the mobility of your enemies. And the lightning, of course, sets them off balance. I'm sorry. And on your staffs, you always want to use to crush your enchant with infused. And on your front bar, on your one-handed, you want to use your weakening enchant. So it reduces the weapon and spell damage of your enemies. And you want those infused also because it helps with your enchant and your cooldown. My Monster Helm set, I mainly run Mighty Chudan. This is situational. Depending on if you run your volatile armor, you want to use Lord Warden if you want to use your volatile armor. But mostly I run Mighty Chudan, which gives you the physical and spell resistance and health. And you gain Major Ward and Major Resolve at all times, increasing your physical and spell resistance. So this is a really, really good set if you do not use your volatile armor, which is 9 times out of 10 I use Mighty Chudans. My other set is Torx Pack. When I run 4-man content, I always run Torx Pack because it helps your DPS. And it decreases the weapon enchant cooldown for your DPS. So everything that I run helps my DPS. Evan does my health, the healing taken, and increases your max health for you and up to 11 group members. So this is why a lot of people want you to run Evan in trials, because it boosts your DPS health by 1.1k, 1.2, whichever one you want to round it up or what. But it's only within 28 meters of you. So if you have 2 tanks and you have to be separated, like a lot of, like in Maul, or on the twins, or in Hoff on the triplets, where you're not within 28 meters of your other tank, you can run Eben. I accept that because your DPS gets your boost from both sides. So this one is situational on which trials that you have. But it also helps for the other off tank to have it because you're actually separated and you're not within the meters of them, which is perfectly fine. Some of the off tanks use Gallonways, Imperium, things like that actually help also. I believe that is all my sets that I use. My other tank, my Templar tank, has the other ones with it. My character sheet, I put all of it in health because this build is based upon health. If you run a DK, it's what I call easy mode tanking compared to the Templar tank. It is a whole lot easier and better to run, and a lot of people like for them to have the DKs. I use Osgar's Red Frothgar as my drink because you add 5,000 health in your magic recovery. Because as a DK on my tank build, I have a lot of magic abilities and I have some stamina, so it's a kind of a mixture in between, and I'm not using completely all of one. I use them both. And my boon is magic recovery. Yet again, just like I said, I've got a lot of the magic abilities. Okay, on to my skills. Ardent Flame. I use Engulfing Flames and Relentless Grip, and sometimes I use Cauterize. I'm still playing with it. Don't really like it, but it's a situational type thing, just like I told you. If you have DPS in your group that is using fire damage, which is your Night Blades use a lot of it, and some more of them, they always want to use double Destros, which is fire damage. So if you use Engulfing Flames, you're going to boost your fire damage of your DPSs, which is a great thing to use. You want to use your Unrelentless Grip, Unrelenting Grip. It pulls the enemies to you, which is very good in situations to where you just want to pull your enemies to you and talon them down with your talons. That way your DPS is there, all your enemies are there at once, and your DPS can take them down at once. When you're a tank, your head has to be what I call on a swivel, because you have to pay attention to all the enemies that are around you, pull them to you, and get the ones that are most ones that could cause your DPS to take damage, which is your two-handed, sword and board, and then of course your archers, which is take and aim. Those are the ones that you want to make sure, for sure, that you need to make sure that they come to you, because if they take an aim, they can one-shot your DPS. And like I said, Cauterize, I'm still working with it. Don't really like it that well. Draconic Power, I've got every one of these. When I go to Cyrodiil to help get my assault tree and support tree up, I use Ferocious Leap over there. That way I could just leap on top of them and throw them all back. The Volatile Armor is the one I told you that is situational type, if depending on if that's what you want to run, if you want to run the other Monster Hound set, whichever ones. The Choking Talons, this is the one that you need. This will hold your enemies in place and let your DPS damage the crap out of them. Take them out. Green Dragon Blood is a must. I use Green Dragon Blood because it's better than the other one. I've used them both, but I like the Green Dragon Blood a little better. It's whichever one that you want to use. But when you use this, you gain Major Fortitude, Major Endurance, Minor Vitality, increasing the health and stamina recovery by 20%, and heal and receive by 8% for 23 seconds. When you're in a fight, you want to make sure you use your Igneous Shield and then your blood, because you're going to get more health back. If you're like really low of health and it's like your screen is all red, like you're fixing to die, you can pop your shield, pop your blood, and boof, you're like back to full health, just about it. So these are a must that you need as a DK. Reflective Plate. I'm kind of working with this one. You gain immunity to snares and mobilization for 2 seconds. I do between this one and immovable and your heavy armor passive, or your heavy armor ability. But this one reflects 4 projectiles, and it reflects it for 6 seconds. I used it in Fang Lair, where all the poison is coming to you that you have to do with all the scarabs and all of that. It works awesome in there because it does reflect the poison at the scarabs. But you have to keep it up, and that's one thing that I'm having a little bit of issues with. Deep Breath, I'm still working on it. It's a situational thing. You can use it during certain situations. And then you want all of your passives. And of course your passives does their health recovery, healing received, the amount of damage you block, and it increases your spell resistance. On to Earthen Heart. Earthen Heart, I use Magma Shell on one of my ultimates. This is one of them that I use. It is a great one to use, and if you pop this, and when it is activated by nearby allies, they gain a damage shield for 100% of their max health for 9 seconds, which is very, very good, and especially if you're doing hard modes and no death runs. Your Igneous Shield is the only other one that you need out of here. This is your shield that I was telling you about. You need to pop it, and then your Green Dragon Blood. These work awesome together. And it absorbs, your own damage shield absorbs 150% additional damage. And you gain major mending, increasing your healing done by 25% for 3 seconds. Okay, and then you want all of your passives in here also. When you cast an ultimate ability, this is one of them that is a must to make sure that you have, because every time you pop an ultimate, you're gonna gain resources. So every time you get an ultimate ready, pop it, because you gain health, magic, and stamina. And then when you also cast your shield, you get back stamina. Sorry guys, the allergies is killing me today. Sword and board side, I've got nearly every one of these besides the power bash. Your ultimate in this one is shield wall, and then I morphed it to shield discipline. These are situational. Your ultimate abilities are very situational depending on where you are, what you're doing. So keep that in mind, because this one, you pop it and your one-handed sword abilities are reduced 100% while active. So when this one is active, you can just go to town hitting or using your stamina abilities for the 7 seconds since this is active, and they will not cost you anything. And you also block all attacks at no cost for 7 seconds. This one is a good one to pop if you're kind of low on stamina and you're not able to do a heavy attack. Pop this, do a few heavy attacks, and poof, your stamina's back up, you're ready to go. Pierced armor, this is a must that you have to have as a tank. This is your main and only mainly taunt, besides your inner rage that is a range taunt. This taunt is only supposed to be active for 15 seconds, but if you've ever tanked before, you know you kind of got to get, it's kind of like a, it's kind of glitched. It depends on how much your DPS is doing. If you've got a DPS in your group that is running 40 to 50k DPS, it's basically like they're going to take that taunt away from you really quick because they're doing a whole lot more damage than you are. So you have to make sure that you use this at least every 10 seconds instead of 15. And I've been tanking for a long time, and I do lose taunt if I have DPS that are really high in my group that I'm running with, which has happened a lot. So I especially get to where I've put it in my rotation to where I do it at least every 10 seconds. And yes, I do have a rotation as a tank. Most of the people think, oh, well, all you do is just poke and block. No, you don't just poke and block. Okay. On to the next one, your heroic slash. When you use this one, you gain your ultimate. This is one of them that I use on my primary bar. I will go through over my primary and my back bar in just a moment when I get through all of these skills. And I've got to try to hurry, so it's sorry if it's a little fast. But this one is a must that you need, especially as you decay, because the more ultimates you use, the more resources you get back. So you gain resources like crazy with this build, and it is awesome. So you're reducing their physical damage, dealing physical damage, and reducing the movement speed. And you're gaining ultimate at the same time for 9 seconds. Your absorb magic. This one is another situational thing. When you use the shield equip, this ability slotted, the amount of damage you can block is increased by 8%. So when you use this one, it absorbs 20,000 damage from the next spell projectile cast at you. And then you also do healing for 17% of your max health. So this one is a situational, just like I said. You also gain your health back when using this, because this build is based upon health. Everything on my build is based upon health. So you get health back, you get magic back, you get stamina back. So you're just a resource tank that never ends. You can be unstoppable. And I'm not telling you that I am. I do die sometimes. And I have resources like crazy. And one of the healers that I run with, he don't really worry about me very much. His name is Andy JG. He is in the hierarchy of elves that we run with all the time. And this is our main guild that we stay with. He can tell you that he don't really worry about me, and then whenever I do run out of resources, when like I'm in Hell Raw and tanking like 3 or 4 Wawas and trying to stay up with the boss at the same time, I could run it a good 45 minutes before I start running out of resources, and it's not coming back that fast because of all the Wawas. If you've ever tanked that one, it's hell on a stick. Sorry for the language, but it is. It's kind of crazy. After a while, they run your resources down. You can't keep up with them because you're running out of stamina a little bit faster. And he has to run around and try to find me because he's used to not keeping up with me. And he can tell you that. Your shield assault. This is shield charge morph to shield assault. This is one where you want to use in situational type things like in Hoff, especially at the last boss, when he uppercut one-handed you back to the very middle in the trench that you stay in if you're the main tank. He will sling you back to the middle and you have to get up and shield charge at him. If you do not get back to him fast enough, he starts jumping. If you've been in there, you know what I'm talking about. If he jumps 3 times, he wipes your group and it's on you. So a lot of the things that you're running all depends on you and your healer. You have a good healer, you have a good tank, you're going to have a good group. And of course you want all your passives in here. And your one hand and shield abilities. Okay, on to your destruction staff. Your destruction staff, the only one you need out of here is your elemental blockade. Simply because you're using the ice or lightning staff on your back bar. This one slows the mobility depending on which staff you're using. The ice staff is the main one that I use unless I am running with a group that has 3 DPS and a tank like we run Bloodroot Forage yesterday, Vet Bloodroot Forage. One of the guild members needed the helmet out of there. So we run 3 DPS and a tank. So he was running the lightning staff, so I run the ice staff. But if he was not running the lightning staff to set him off balance, I run it. So your staffs are very situational. Onto your passive abilities. If you are a tank, I do not like using Trifocus. It is totally up to you. If you think you can keep up with your magic, you're fine with it. That's cool with you. But with me, I do not want to take a chance on putting the Trifocus in, and you're probably thinking I'm crazy because the ice staff taunts. Yes, your ice staff taunts, but if you are caught on that back bar swapping your bars backwards and forwards, and you're caught on your staff bar, when you block, it uses magic. So it's going to use a whole lot of magic because everything that's on your armor and in your passives in your CP tree is built for stamina, not magic. So you get all your stamina back, but you don't do your magic. So you got to kind of watch that one. It just depends on you if you want to put it in there or not. But me, I do not, because I don't want to be caught on that back bar. And then, of course, you want all the rest of your passives. Because you restore magic. When you do kill an enemy on your last one, it's Destructive Expert. So if you actually kill the last one with the blow of your elemental blockade, you're going to gain your magic back. Which happens every once in a while, actually. Equipped a Frost Staff reduces the cost of block by 36% and increases the amount of damage you block by 20% when you have the Ice Staff. The Lightning Staff increases the damage done when the area affects. But yes, I mean, you need these passives, of course. Okay, and your heavy armor. You want all of your passives, especially really, really good. You need to make sure those are in there. The Unstoppable, like I said, I'm still working between it and the Reflective Plate because they basically do the same thing. It makes you immune to knockbacks. This one does, and it keeps the snares and stuff off of you. And I am the vampire, so I use Invigorating Drain and Elusive Mist. Elusive Mist is one of them that is situational types that, like, in AA, when you're running, especially in Vet, you have the 3 axes at the end of the very last boss fight. You have the 3 axes. When you pop this, your damage taken is 75%. Reduces 75% when you're low of health. So, basically, when you have them taunted and you're really low of health compared to you, you can kind of guesstimate, and you can use this, and it increases your movement speed to where you can kind of move backwards and forwards and they can keep up with you, kind of like maneuver stuff around when you're trying to miss AoEs. You take a lot less damage, which is really, really good in those situations. I do not put it in the Savage Feeding, but I do have it in all the rest of the passives, especially the Blood Ritual. That way I can bot somebody if they need it. And the bots are free, by the way. You don't never charge for bots. Alright, the Fighter's Guild. I do have Turn Undead. It's another situational. I'm still kind of playing with it. It increases, my stamina recovery, reduces damage taken. So it's one of the situational things. But I have the Intimidating and I have the Banish Wicked. The Banish Wicked is when you kill Undead, Daedra, or Werewolf, you gain 9 ultimate. So that dates back to when you use your Ice Staff or you deliver the last killing blow, you're gonna gain 9 ultimate. So this build is like gaining ultimate like crazy and resources like crazy. In the Sigic order, I use Time Freeze. Time Freeze is another situational. Some of the dungeons you have to use it, some of them you don't. It's situational. And then you want all of your passives in it, so you could get your extra reduced cost and everything else. And you gain a shield when you gain another shield when you use a Sigic order ability. Your Undaunted, this is a must for a tank. You want to use your Inner Fire, morphs to Inner Rage. Your Inner Rage is a ranged taunt. Like if a boss is a few feet away from you, or you could tell it's meters, in this game it's meters. If it's so many meters away, you can range taunt them to come to you. And an ally targeting can activate the synergy that's around it, and it deals magic damage. Bone Surge. Bone Surge is a shield that I use, just like in Vet Bloodroot Forge yesterday when we run 3 DPS in a tank. I was the tank. Bubba, my husband, was a DPS. Van and G was the other 2 DPSs. G is our head hierarchy guildmaster. Van is right under him. Great people. Hey, if you need a guild, just holler at them. It's a great guild, guys. Great guild. I cannot say it enough. Sorry, but I gotta give hands up. This is a great guild. Social, trial. We have all kinds of events. But if you have any kind of elf tune, just look us up. And of course, you want to do your passives in the Undaunted. The Assault Tree, you need Aggressive Warhorn. This is what I was telling you that I used the Dragon Leap for, is to go over and get these up. I've still got to get these up the rest of the way and max them out to have completely my magic recovery and everything that I need for this build. It's kind of hard to do that when you're a tank because you don't have very much damage. You just take damage, punches in the face, uppercuts, and all this other crap that's going on. You just got to sit there and take it. I do not have any of the passives in this because it really don't matter. All you needed was the Warhorn. It's Warhorn and then morph it to Aggressive Warhorn. The Support Tree, it's Barrier, and I done it the Replenish Barrier. Sorry. You want to morph it to this one, in my opinion, because each time it dissolves, you restore ultimate and magic. So every time I pop this shield, and especially during hard modes or some of the trials where there's a lot of AoEs like Inhoff I use, this one is a great one to use because it helps you gain your ultimate in order to pop those ultimates off like crazy. So you're building the ultimates like crazy. I mean, non-stop. Soon as you get it, you pop it. Soon as you get it, you pop it. You're gonna have resources coming to you no matter what. The more ultimate you can use, the more resources you get. Purge is another one that comes out of the support tree. It uses the crap out of your magic. And although you don't really have that much magic, you're getting all this magic recovery from like your ultimates, your passives, your food, your Mundus Stone. So all this magic is actually going to come back to you. Purge is a situational type thing, especially you want to use it in Inhoff. So Inhoff, you want your healers and your tanks and some of your magic DPS to use Purge. If you're going in vet, but if you have good healers, you're good to go. Because when we run Inhoff, we make sure everybody stays together in front of the healers. So that way they're purged, they're healed. We kind of got our own little thing going, but you know. But Purge is a situational type thing. You can put it on there just in case you have to use it. But with the first boss that you come up on, the little dinosaur metal things, and they have to be separated. So you got a healer on each side that's using Purge, and it uses for, you know, like your group that you're around. And it removes 2 negative effects. So they're going to get it off of those 6 that they're around, and it's going to be a little bit better, and it's better off on your healers. A lot of people think we're crazy that we only use the healers using Purge. But when you're doing the vet, we hadn't got that far yet, but we're on our way. We only need 2 DPS to get up and test, and we are good to go for vet trials. But these are the ones that's situational. You just need to watch when you need to, and just put it on just in case. You have to help your healers purge because it does use a lot of magic. You have to watch the magic part. The only one that you need is increase your magic recovery for each support ability. So if you're running your barrier, you need these passives. So I mean, I've still got to get this rank up to 9, but if you're a tank and you're in PvP, it's kind of hard to do unless you got a group. So you need to be in a group when you're over there to get these up. So I'm going to have to get this one up to have the rest of my magic recovery when I've got those abilities slotted. Alright, your Dark Elf, which is your racial passive, should I say. Mine is Dark Elf. I have every one of them. It's in there. Your Alchemy, I do have them in here because that way I can make my own pots that I use. So when you use the potions, the effects last 30% longer. I can make more potions, and then I can use the 3 regents in it. Another, which is I've got all the unraveling and everything else, because I do break down with this one because I don't want to put it in my bank and break it down with my crafters. So I go ahead and make sure that I have all the passives, that way I can break it down. Provisioning, you want to make sure that you have either your food and your drink. It depends on which type of food or which drink you use. But I use the Osgard Red Frothgar, which is a drink. It adds 20 minutes to the duration of either your food or your drink consumed. This is a good thing. You need to make sure you have it up to 50 and have these points in these. Okay, let me make sure I have everything. Alright, this is the way that I set up my primary bar and my back bar. My primary bar is Green Dragon Blood, Invigorating Drain, Igneous Shield, Pierce Armor, and Heroic Slash. The Heroic Slash and the Shield Charge is what I swap in and out on this bar because it's situational. And then I use Replenish Barrier when I run 3 DPS and a tank. And there's sometimes I slot it whenever we go in Inhoff and some of those because of all of the AoEs. It helps me gain my ultimate, plus it protects your allies that is with you. My back bar, I use my unrelenting grip. This one is situational. This one is the one I changed from Bone Surge. I'm still set up from whenever we done the heart, the Bloodroot Forge on some of them. So Bloodroot Forge is one of them that I changed for this one to Bone Surge with 3 DPS and a tank. But other than that, I mainly use Engulfing Flames. Engulfing Flames, like I said, you use this one, it helps your DPS. Your Choking Talons is the ones that hold your enemies in place for your DPS to pound the crap out of them and get them down. Your Inner Rage is your range taunt that you must have, because some of the things does not need, like your two-handed and sword and board and your archers that are taking aim. You can range taunt them to where you're taking the damage, and then you can pull them to you if you're able to. Some of the mages you cannot, because they get behind a block of ice. I've done that so many times, and I try to pull the ice to me instead of the enemy, because they're shielded by this wall of ice. So you gotta watch that. The Elemental Blockade, I slam my staff down, that way anything that goes in my Elemental Blockade is reduces their movement speed and immobilizes. So it's kind of, I've got 2 immobilization ones on here, which helps your DPS out. So if there's like 5 or 6 of them running around and you can't talent them right then, this is going to immobilize them. So that way their movement speed is slower. And I use Aggressive Warhorn on the back bar. This one I do not change, because the tanks and the healers need to run Warhorn. This boosts your allies' magic and stamina, which helps them do more damage. This is a must that you have to have. Okay, I think I have went over all of the skills, and then the armor I will let you know. I think I've went over that. Alright, with my armor, I have the head and the shoulders are enchanted with health. The chest is infused Tristat, which is every one of them is infused with Tristats. You got your waist sturdy, Tristat. Hands sturdy, Tristat. Legs infused, Tristat. Feet sturdy, Tristat. Every one of them that is sturdy is going to help reduce your block cost. So the more of the reduced block cost you have, it's not going to cost you that much when you're blocking and you're getting hit by all of the face punches, the heavy attacks, the uppercuts. So that is a good thing. That is my guild tabard. My jewelry has magic recovery and it's got healthy. My alkosh has got robust still, because I have not got those transmuted. Transmute stones are really hard to get unless you know how to get them. All my rings have, all besides my alkosh, has healthy and magic recovery, because the more magic recovery you have, the more you're going to be able to do with your DK. I've went over those, Alright, champion points. I'm going to start with the green tree. We're going to go into the thief. You got 28 in Warlord. It reduces your break free. And yes, you do have to break free on some of the things, because some of the bosses stun you. Certain ones, like at the very end in Maul, when the, what I call a dragon, comes from the middle pad and flies on you to the gold pad, it stuns you. So when you break it out, you break free. This has helped reduces the cost of your break free, which is uses your stamina. Okay, this one is the lover. That one was the tower. This one is the lover. You got tenacity, increases your magic and stamina. Your fully charged heavy attacks restore. So when you're doing a heavy attack in between your blocking, you've got to learn your bosses. When you do your heavy attacks, it restores your magic and stamina, not just one, magic and stamina. Your Arcanist increases your magic recovery. So this is another one that increases your magic recovery because you use a lot of magic in this build. If you want to take this build, that's cool with me, that's fine. I'm here to teach. All you have to do is just leave me a comment and I will answer anything that I can. Okay, your Mooncalf, it increases your stamina recovery. So this one is one of them that helps you increase your stamina recovery right along with all the other ones that you have. The Shadow, the only ones I have in the Shadow is Shadow Ward. It reduces the cost of block. So with your Shadow Ward and your Shadow Tree and your armor being sturdy, all of this put together is going to reduce the cost of your block really, really well, and it helps a lot. So I have 72 in it, and it is at 23%. If I was to put another point in there, that extra point will be wasted. So when you do your champion points, guys, you need to kind of watch when you're putting them in if they're going to be wasted. Because if you waste them, they're just sitting there in between like 23 and 24%. Like if you have 23.12, 23.54, that 0.54% or 0.23% is just wasted. So you need to make sure it's like right at a percentage or over, because if you're not, you're just wasting them. So put them somewhere else and add all them extra ones up to just add here and there. So that's what I've done with this, and we've went through all of these and made sure that I had them correct. And I love the way she's set up, guys. I do. I really love the way she's set up. It's awesome. Tumbling. Yes, you do roll dodge. If you've been a tank or you do DPS and you're moving a tank, yes, you do roll dodge, because there's a lot of the AoEs that you can't attack, that you can't miss, like in the very last boss at Bloodroot Forge when the ceiling's falling down. You can either kite, move very slow, or if you're standing there keeping the taunt on the bosses like I do sometimes, you have to roll dodge to get out of the way. If you don't, you're a goner. Sorry guys, allergies are killing me today. Okay, on to the blue tree, the apprentice. I'm going to start with blessed. I have 75 in blessed, which is 14%. So see where it says next point increase by 14.07. So if I put that other point in there, to put it to 0.7, I'm just wasting it. So I stop at 75, which is 14%. So this will do the healing done. You have 14% more healing done, which is a good thing. The Elfborn, it increases your critical and damage and critical healing with magic abilities, which is you use a lot of magic abilities, so this is going to help with your critical heals. Okay, on to the Atronach. Staff Expert. You use an ice staff or lightning staff, so it increases the lightning, your destruction and restoration staffs. So when you slam your elemental blockade down, it actually helps with the damage done, so you're actually helping your DPS out. Physical Weapon Expert. This one is one of them. It increases the damage done with your light and heavy attacks with two-handed, one-handed shield, dual-wield bow, whatever. I'm still working on some of these, but it, like I said, it does real good. You're just helping your DPS out with this one. This one is the one that I've just added in, Master of Arms, because some of the rest of them, as I told you a while ago, just went over some, so I just put them in this one. So it increases damage done with direct damage attacks. Yes, it's 2.45, but only that 2% is actually active, so it's helping with your DPS. The ritual tree, you do not need any of these because you're not really doing a lot of damage. So that's why I've put them in this one right here. To get when you roll dodge, you set the enemy off balance. This is why this tree is full to get up to your tactician, whatever you want to call it. But it's when you do your roll dodge, you set your enemies off balance, which is helping your DPS. Like I said, everything in my build helps your DPS. The steed in the red tree is your ironclad. It reduces the damage taken against direct damage attacks. This one's a good one to have, guys. Make sure you have it up. This one is Unchained. This is okay. The element, the hardy. Sorry, I got all I was reading. Hardy is one of them that you reduce damage taken from physical poison and disease damage, which is you're a tank. You're gonna take all that, so you're reducing your damage. Elemental, flame, frost, shock, and magic. You're a tank. You're gonna be taking all that damage. Some of these I've got it's at 80%. I'm trying to get it worked out to where it's okay. The thick skin reduces your damage taken from damage over time effects, which is there is a lot of damage over time effects that you will be around, like in Hoth. If you've ever been in there, you'll know what I'm talking about. The Lord is heavy armor focus. It increases your physical resistance. This is why I've got this one in here, is because my spell resistance and physical resistance needs to be at least 32% or 32,000. With you being a tank, you want it at 32,000. If it goes over a little bit, it's okay. If you go over to 35k, that's way, way too much. You're just wasting your physical and spell resistance. So make sure you get it right at 32 where the cap is. It's 32, 32.5. I've heard two different numbers and had never really looked it up to actually see for sure which one was which. But make sure that you have physical and spell resistance right around the same effect. Quick recovery increases your healing received. So this one will help do your healing when you're doing your green dragon blood or your healers are helping you heal. Okay, those are my champion points, guys. With the character, let me show you my physical and spell resistance. My physical and spell resistance is 30 and 31 on this one. But it's not right at cap. Some of them are. Depends on my sets that I use. If I use the other sets, it's right at cap. Other than that, guys, I think I'm done. If you need to know anything else about my build, you want to know, leave comments. If you like it, put a like on the button. And y'all have a good day.